Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining in another Acchutha's Inspire series. And this time we have Dr. Rizwana, who needs no introduction in terms of her academic activities and research activities. So, Dr. Rizwana is currently a professor at Gulf Medical University, and she's also a life coach in terms of sharing important quotes for emotional intelligence, how to maintain a peace, calm mind. And that's the overview of today's talk as well. And this is a kind of different talk we have when we discussed this earlier in the month of July. We want you to be part of this space series. She was like, okay, I don't want to do something on optometry, and I want to take up what I'm learning in the phase of like being an emotional intelligence coach. And we had a discussion with Mr. Saranya ma'am. She was also inspired. Okay, let's do this, and it's happening now. Um, Before Dr. Rizwana starts, any starting comments from Mr. Saranya ma'am? If not, then
Yeah, yeah, just one little thing to add. So I was just looking at the opt-in pictures recently, and every picture she seems to be, having some sort of a joke which is going on in her mind, and some joy which is like coming out on every frame. And the picture I am with her, I have no clue what we were laughing about, but we were laughing about it. So that's the effect she has on people around her. So I think it's very important to learn what it is to be joyful. And I think it's extremely important, especially nowadays, because every other person I hear of is talking about how stressed they are, how little their brain is working, and they don't know what they want to do, and they're upset. So I think this is something which is very, very, very important for all of us to learn. I mean, career-wise, I'm sure all of us will do brilliantly well. But are we going to have the same sort of capacity mental health wise? So I think this is one of the most crucial things for all of us to learn. So we're really, really happy and thrilled to have you here with us is to share your experiences, your thoughts. So thank you and welcome to Acchutha.
so over to you, Dr. Rizwana. The floor is
Thank
yours.
you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, thank you. I'm apparently, as usual, multitasking. 1 second. Okay. Do you guys see my screen, Gopi?
Yeah.
Okay, great. First of all, it's really an honor to be here because Sharanya ma'am is my super senior, and I mean she inspires me in many ways. Okay, for her leadership. So that's Gopi already told you the context. We are speaking subject. We are all running behind upgrading ourselves and updating ourselves, getting all of those degrees behind our names. But there is something that's sort of blaring if we look at the real world outside. You need not answer, but if I just ask you, how many of you feel that there is a void inside? Wherever you are in your life, there is something. This is not the void that I'm talking about aspirationally. Aspirationally, we always want to move ahead because that sort of you should never be contented fully with life. That's really important for you to keep aspiring more and more. But generally, the lack of inspiration, like jumping out of the bed with joy sorts every single day, or at least most of the days, okay? Or quickly be able to bounce back from an adverse situation. That is what I think inspired me personally, because I was going through very tough phase in my life at some point. And then I looked at, okay, what I've done with my life really. And then I realized there's more to life than all of these degrees. And, that's how my journey towards understanding the components of emotional intelligence started. Okay. And I quickly pulled out this picture as she was speaking. And this is what she was referring to. That both of us were leaning on to each other and we were just laughing. We don't know why we were laughing, but we were just laughing. But we were very serious, okay? We are really serious students. We were attending to the session. We were not doing mazak and all, but we, both of us, look at both of us. It's not just me, but we were just in a very blissful state. Look at how much times have changed, okay? Earlier, we were all running behind these tests for EQ. Of course, I've referred hundreds of my pediatric patients for EQ assessment and all of that when they come for treatment for learning disability and all of that. So I'm not denying the EQ component as such, but many of us at some point when we were like brainstorming about what am I really missing in life, we used EQ as a measurement to understand if we are really worthy. Okay. And now we are in this situation where we don't even know what we are feeling. We are not attuned to our emotions, and then we are using emojis in messages and all of that. And if someone asks you, what are you feeling? We are not able to narrate it. Okay. This is where emotions come in and emotional intelligence come in. And if you take one thing from today's session, remember this. Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts. Okay. Most of our problems in life come from the number of intrusive thoughts that just bombards us in life, like just too much, too much. Why is it that we've given so much energy and attention to our thoughts? Is mainly because we are not aware of what's going on within the head. We've just lost control of our own self to these thoughts. Okay. So my journey, as I told, started as, of course, as a voracious reader. I used to read books, and one day I picked up this book by Daniel Goleman on emotional intelligence, why it can matter more than IQ. And of course, he's published many other series in this. So if at all you want to start with that one book. Then later I enrolled into his course on understanding the building blocks of emotional intelligence because of my own passion towards leadership as well. And it really changed overall my perspective about life, leadership. It made me a better leader. It made me a better human being, I would say. So what we're going to do right now is to just check in, okay? And then we will do one more exercise after when we close the session. So you can just scan this QR code out here first, and then it will take you to a page where I just want you to give yourself a score. Okay, so I'm just going to go to that screen. Okay, so if you're able to, 1 second, I may have to stop share and then. So guys, do you see this QR code in here? 1 second, I think. Technology. So you already started before even I ask. Okay, so I asked you about calm and presence. How calm you feel on a scale of, if someone hasn't seen the QR code, then you can type menti.com and then you can type this number here, okay? Yeah. So if you can type menti.com and use this code to come to this page. So what I'm trying to ask you is that on a scale of 1 to 10, calmness is nothing but like, okay, Riz, you know what? Something is going on the outside, but I'm at peace with my own self. Okay. No, I'm not at all at peace is 0. I'm okay somewhere in between this 3.84, whatever we are seeing. Presence means I'm totally with you. Riz, I'm totally with you. And if you tell me no, only I'm there, but my mind is somewhere, then you are on a lower side. But if you just say that, you know what, my mind, body, and everything is completely here, nothing is obstructing my thoughts, then it's a 10. Okay. So just give yourself a score on calmness and presence. There are about 40 plus people over here. So I want like more responses so that we know where we are. This is the most important exercise for the day. So you're going to go with some important life skills, guys. Okay. More than actual knowledge, you're going to go with some important wisdom. So please feel free to share. Of course, it's anonymous, so I would not know who is disturbed or I would not know like who's giving what answers. Just go ahead and click whatever you feel like, the level of calmness and presence. Okay, so I'll come back here and I'm going to go back to my screen. So if at all anybody hasn't seen this QR, you can scan the QR code and keep answering. So we will come back here once again. Okay. But this is just for us to check in. Okay. So we'll start with my Kuti story first. I told you about emotional intelligence, but you should know that how my journey shaped up. This is my entry into Elite School of Optometry, Sharanya Ma'am knows, and good luck finding me, of course, if you are. Look at this here. This is Rizia, the one where I'm showing my cursor. So coming out of a government school, entering into a cause, though it's called a school, elite school, I entered into an environment where people are coming from different backgrounds, diverse backgrounds, speaking English at the tip of their tongue, and of course, a lot of Hindi around. But overall, everybody looked very sophisticated to me except myself. Okay, I just looked very raw, as if I just don't know anything. Though I have all of these rank and everything in school, people know me, blah, blah, blah. So that's where the IQ failure comes. And then you come into an environment where you're handling people from diverse cultures and uh, with sort of interpersonal skills, as if they knew what they wanted in life. And I was the only person that looked as if I just do not know why I'm here and what I want from this whole optometry. So everybody looked sorted out. And then what happened? Of course, we were thrown into the clinical postings and we had to see patients from again different backgrounds, diverse backgrounds, telling us their own stories. And as we were just going through this cycle of meeting people from diverse cultures and backgrounds, I realized one thing: the struggles are the same. It's just coming in different languages from different places. And there was one thing that always kept me very grounded and connected, which was my empathy, which is like, okay, when someone is sitting and talking to me, whatever problems are going on in my head, I was just able to listen to them undistracted, literally, like no distraction at all. My mind just doesn't go anywhere. I'm with that patient is talking to me, and then I'm there. And while I was listening, I realized one thing, which is the solutions automatically started popping up in my head. If I'm just totally present, automatically the solution started popping up in my head. And how do I say that? Because there were days when I was distracted myself. I had my own issues to handle, and we were running between different situations, and then when the patient is there, they're talking and we are like typing on the computer, whatever it is. Those moments, even if the case is simple, sometimes I felt like I don't have an answer. But every time I was present and I'm looking at this person as a reflection of my own self talking to me, I always had the answers, the creativity, the presence. And the best part of the story is everybody went out of the room saying, like, you know what, whether our problems were solved or not, I'm feeling more happier than before. Okay. And they went out. And then when we started interacting as groups with our mentors, of course, nobody used all of these terminologies: emotional intelligence, empathy. Empathy is definitely very important in healthcare. We use that a lot of times, but nobody spoke about the presence of self-awareness, how to be present with another human being, how to be undistracted. Of course, this is few decades, okay? So mobile phones were still there, but not as much as how it is there right now. So moving into this now, the knowledge part of emotional intelligence, okay? If you really want to go deeper, then you have to understand all of these 12 domains, okay? This is because of my coaching, emotional intelligence coaching certification that I've done with the Daniel Goleman School. But there are 4 major arms. The first is self-awareness. The second is self-management. The third is social awareness. The fourth is relationship management. Leave aside all of the other aspects, which we will go much deeper into it. But where everything starts? It starts with self. Most of us who are struggling currently in life with either some sort of thoughts or emotions or disturbances, worst problems in life, okay? Because we face like sometimes toughest situations like losing a loved one, grief and heartbreak, and all of those things. But the ones that suffer the most are the ones that have lesser self-awareness, which means we don't even know what's going on. And then we just sit feeling lost. But if we know who we are, if we really understand our own emotions and able to label them, you know what, I am feeling angry or I'm feeling sad. Okay, where is this anger coming from? Where is this sadness coming from? Oh, I'm feeling it in my heart, I'm feeling it in my body, I'm just feeling disturbed, but where is this disturbance coming from? Now, where all of this starts basically is, first of all, to be attuned to your emotions. And how to stay attuned to your emotions, that's one exercise we will do towards the end. But guys, everything starts with self-awareness, okay? So when ma'am was saying like you are in this joyful, blissful state, the more and more you just tap into your own self-awareness, you will find nothing but happiness, okay? It's not that you have everything in your life. It's not that your bank balance is like shining bright. It's not that you don't have debts. It's not that you have, all of your loved ones understanding you so well. Or it's not that, like, for all of those out there who are trying to find the love of your life, or who are unhappy with the love of your life, I'm telling you, there is no happiness outside of you. If you are not happy, if you're going to be miserable, everybody that enters your world is also going to be miserable, okay? So it all starts with self. Then comes taking that self to put it outside in the social context. And that's when empathy comes. If you don't even know your pain, how are you going to be empathetic with the other person out there, right? Then comes managing all of relationships and leaderships. And if you really see powerful leaders out there, they're not the ones with the highest IQs. They are the ones with the highest EQs, which means you will see them just giving you solutions then and there, tuck, 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 and you will see them completely present with you. You will see them exuding a lot of sort of presence, and you will be able to easily, in your workplace, just think about it. The narcissistic traits of a leader, the word we use narcissism quite a bit right now. What is narcissism? Someone who's not aware of their own self. Someone who's just not aware that they are toxic, someone who's really not aware that their presence is disturbing other people, someone who's not aware of their influence of their own emotions on the loved ones around, including at workplace, at home. So they are the ones that lack total self-awareness. So if you want to be a source of peace to people in your life, most importantly, to be a source of peace to your own self, if you want to stop all of this war with yourself, start understanding and go deeper. But this is a lifelong journey. It's not going to, like, overnight you wake up as a Buddha, no. But once you started, the rest of the journey is just a matter of, like, it's like picking up different skills, learning your retinoscopy skills sort. But once you start recognizing yourself, then you recognize others, then you start managing others. And this is where regulation comes. Regulation is all about knowing when to show what emotion, okay? Even though you might want to shout, even though you might want to show anger, in that particular context, in that particular situation, with that patient who's irritating you 100 times, you tell them, they come back with the same problem. Okay, you tell them to patch, they come back not patching. Then you go and then you realize, oh, this person has got 7 kids and this is just one among that 7 kids. Then you understand this much more than for you. You've told, they are not following. Your ego is just hurting you badly. But if you just dive deeper into the other side of the story, I'm not justifying, I'm not saying what they're doing is right, but without showing anger, without just shouting, if you just understand the soul on the other side, then automatically more creative solutions will come, and you will probably provide them with options which works much, much better. So start managing yourself. Everything starts managing with yourself, and then you start managing others. Most of us are trying to manage others without managing us. And most of us are blaming others and saying like, oh, you know what? The problem is them. The problem is them. The problem is them. But come on, it all starts with you. So the whole journey of emotional intelligence is to become who you truly are. And Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, is like, there's no one that's written much, much more deeper about unraveling our own subconscious, learning the different pillars of subconscious, and doing our own inner work. It's very spiritual, but I think that's the whole journey of life is all about. So now, putting things into context, in leadership, in the job market out there, employment world out there, we all speak about soft skills. We say, you know what, communication is important. You know what, personality is important. Yes. And what is that actually come under? All of the soft skills come under emotional quotient. It's all your attitude. Okay. But that's what is basically the one that actually pushes you to be able to apply your skills and knowledge. Skills and knowledge, yes, you go to your school, optometry school, do 4 years undergrad, 2 years masters, you do some 6 months fellowship. You can do anything and everything, and you can build the top part of that iceberg, which is visible to the world outside. But if you're not developing the hard part, which is actually the soft skills, then whatever you do on the top may not really give you success. So those of you right now, because you're here for two reasons. One is you want to understand what this emotional intelligence is all about. Second is you want to really show up as a successful person to the world out there. But yes, the metrics for success differs between different people. But if you want to really, feel at peace with yourself, and then understand that you have a value, like you have something meaningful in terms of what you're contributing to the world outside there, it's really important to spend some time understanding who you are at your core, and that's where emotional intelligence comes in. So here I'm going to use chat box quite like frequently now. So you please feel free to go ahead and stop typing in the chat box, or if you want to unmute and say. At workplace, you receive an unexpected negative feedback. I mean, this is not the usual feedback that you get from your boss, okay? But you just sort of receive a negative feedback saying, I'm not happy with your performance. No, what you've done is wrong. You shouldn't have done this. Now, what is your immediate response? Can someone give me a couple of responses in the chat box? Okay, similar answers. Look at how uniform we are. Okay, immediate response only I'm asking. Okay, oh my God, what have I done today? Exactly, shock. True. This is a bad day. Exactly. Discouraged, shattered. Okay, keep going, keep going, but think about it. And one of the participants asked a very, very valid question when we sent out the survey. Not every one of you filled the survey. You can go back also and fill it. It is also anonymous that we sent out before the session. I mean, Dr. Gopi did enormous amount of work in putting this together, guys. So if you look at that survey, there was a very brilliant response in that survey, okay? So someone asked, do you really want us to give the ideal response or the true response? Okay, which means we all of us know what's an ideal response in a given situation. I mean, it's not that someone has to come and teach us emotional intelligence. We are all born emotionally intelligent, because look at if you've all had babies, okay, either your babies or your friends' babies or babies, they know when to cry when they're hungry. They know what to do exactly at what time. And they're very emotionally attuned, okay? And they really get things done. After a while, unfortunately, because of the corruption that we do, like then they learn different manipulative techniques and strategies, and they lose themselves in the process. But we're all born emotionally attuned. And that's when, if the mother is angry, the baby immediately picks it up. And the baby will feel sad about the mother, okay? This is where self-awareness comes in. Now, for all of you who answered or you've not answered, just think from this perspective. Okay, I'm going to bring a little bit of self-awareness to this whole situation. Okay, this is the first component of emotional intelligence, the major pillar. This negative feedback is coming from someone that I value the most, or someone in whose hands there's power. So it can affect my job, my employment, my promotion, whatever it is, okay? And so, yes, I'm shattered. Yes, I'm dejected. Yes, I'm feeling pathetic about my own self. Like, why did I do it? Or I'm in denial. You know what? Like, no, I did my best. But then they sort of gave a feedback. But if you bring in self-awareness and don't take that feedback as personalized, okay? And what I want you to use is the skills out there. Just take 1 minute, 30 seconds, okay? All you need is just do not immediately like, yes, you're sad, but okay, why am I like really feeling sad at the moment? Yeah, I got a negative feedback. Like, but what did I do from my side? What was really not wrong, but what did I miss seeing? If you just sit with yourself for 30 seconds to a minute before you jump in, or you don't do any of these, what you generally do throughout the whole day, you ruminate this inside your mind, like go back and forth, back and forth. And you know what happens? Because if you don't process it in a healthier way, this whole emotion, this negative thing goes on, and on the vibrational frequency scale, there are, every emotion has a different vibrational frequency, and the frequency of sadness and dejection and rejection holds a very, very low frequency but very dense. You will attract more such situations and scenarios and people who will constantly come and give you more negative feedback. And then you see the most complicated case where you feel like what to do with my life, and then you go home and then your mother shouts at you, and then you will just see this ripple doesn't stop. Now, you as an emotionally intelligent person has to stop this loop as quick as possible. And the more quicker you're able to snap out of this, the more emotionally intelligent you are. This is not about ignoring the feedback. Remember, guys, there, don't go tomorrow to your mentor and say, Dr. Rizwana just wanted me to not consider your feedback. That's not the point here. But you sit, you journal your thoughts, or you think about it, or you take your notes. Then after just compiling yourself, then go to this person and then say, you know what, like, can you please give me feedback on how do I improve on this, or can I have more details about this? The moment you step into this, I'm telling you, it's not just makes you feel better, but immediately it brings in a lot of depth to the connection that you have with that person, be it your mentor or boss or colleague or whatever it is. But the other person is also a human being, no? That person is not a robot. Though we are speaking emotional intelligence in the world of artificial intelligence, you know, we're still talking to human beings, right? The situation changes. You need to apply this next time whenever you feel dejected about something, okay? Skill number 2, high pressure situation with a tight deadline. I mean, do or die situation. Really, you're there. What's an immediate response? How do you feel? True response. Like you have to submit this budget immediately. You have to submit this thesis. You're not really in a good place as such. Because you feel prepared, you feel unprepared, whatever it is. How do you feel emotionally? Start expressing your emotions now. Stressed out. Pakka. I do see some great answers at the moment. Okay. I'll go back to the pre, okay. Quitting and walking off. Okay. Anxious. Breathe and plan in the remaining time. Fantastic. Okay. Cry. Beautiful. I actually close up from everything else. You are one very learned, focused person, ma'am. Okay. Fast. Okay. Okay. Now, those of us, right? Thank you guys for being so transparent. I love you all. I'm really telling you from the bottom of my heart. It's not easy to be emotionally vulnerable in a space like this, okay? Because we all want to act as if we've got everything together. Now you're all saying this is exactly I feel. Now look at this. The more you feel stressed and anxious, you all know the regulation of the nervous system, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. If you're just on the sympathetic drive, you know what happens? It puts you in the fight, flight, freeze response. It's not going to allow your brain to do anything. So the more stressful you feel, the more anxious you feel, the more you feel like, oh, to deadline aa gaya, abhi, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Enna pandrathu? The more and more you are in this, you are hijacking your own nervous system. Okay. Now, again, if an emotionally intelligent person knows that I cannot escape from this, either I just admit my failure saying ki like I'm done, I can't do this, which is something you don't want to do because someone has trusted you and given you this task. So you better finish it. Okay. But at the same time, you want to do it in the best possible situation. The first thing is, yes, describe whatever you feel. I'm anxious, I'm stressed out, I just feel like running away from here. I want to like get rid of this, blah, blah, blah. People who are very emotionally intelligent and attuned, like Sharanya ma'am, shut everything down, focus, finish the task. But unfortunately, by the time we go, we open our social media, 100 distractions come. And then, you know, like this, open that. And after 2 hours, you're still stressed out. You're still stressed out. You're even more anxious because you feel the world out there is happier, more happier than you. You feel the world out there is enjoying life, whereas you are sitting and breaking your head for something where you even don't feel happier enough. Okay, you feel and then binge it after complete. And that's me. But this is where the role of self-regulation. So an emotionally intelligent, attuned person will know this is how life is gonna be. There are more such high-pressure situations that will come up as I grow up more in the ladder. The more you go up and up and up, there will be more high-pressure situations, and that's what life does to you, so that you become more evolved and more mature. So what do I do? Someone said, breathe. First, breathe. You forget to breathe, okay? Breathe. Then again, pause before you even react like, okay, I'm stressed out, I'm stressed out, I'm stressed out. But sit, I'm telling you, take my words for granted from today. This is my secret sauce. 30 seconds to a minute of just, there's something called box breathing. We are going to do one more breathing today, which you are going to take home as a tool kit, as a tool in your toolkit. The breathe, just sit and breathe, put everything, let everything wait for 30 seconds. Life is not, is not going to go away anywhere. The world will wait for you. You just pause and then you breathe and you look at like, okay, there's the situation out there. Then immediately you will know what to do. Okay. First, you're calm. You'll start bringing a sense of peace and calmness to the situation. And then you know that there's no way that I'm running out of this. I better get this done. The next thing is what Sharanya ma'am said, which is to take away all your focus from everything else and then just put the spotlight onto the task at hand and get it done. But again, to develop those parts of the neural network, which we call as the flow state, to get anything done, it's not an overnight task. It's a task where you do things after things by putting you through such tough, stressful situations. Okay. Skill number 3. You want to achieve something. Okay. I'll give you a very common example. You want to buy a car. And this has been going on for like 4 years, okay? You want to buy a car of a specific model, trying to save money, then the money goes somewhere. Trying to save money, it goes somewhere. And nowhere you feel like you're going to end up achieving it. Or buy a home. Or go for a trip, some tour, whatever it is. Okay, I'm taking you away from work situation now. Giving you a real life example. Something that you want to achieve doesn't seem to come to your hand. What is your usual response? Keep trying. Okay. Hopeless. Look for patterns. Okay. Think about such script first, then wonder why, then try to figure out why. Visualize daily. Okay. Okay, great. Push yourself forward. Great. Wait until it happens and seek other ways to get it. Beautiful. Pat myself and say better like next time. Overthink. I like that. I also overthink. Why do I really not deserve this? Immediately, do I not deserve this really? And then you go to usually, which I thought will come, but we immediately connect every failure in our life to self-worth. Immediately we connect it to self-worth and we think we are not worthy enough of getting that thing. Oh, in the whole world out there, whoever I feel like I I don't value much, they're all like getting this and this and this. My younger brother has bought, all of those chotus have done this and that, and I feel like a failure in front of my own eyes. This is where you should understand that those matrices for success or any setback that you see in your life does not define you. And you have to now go back and ask, what is your motivation behind this? I can take one entire session on how to get what you want in no time. That's not the situation here. But if something is just not coming into your hands, there are certain things inside of you which are still unprepared. Okay, which you are still unprepared to face it, or what I call as limiting beliefs. You still do not feel worthy of getting it. And you yourself are blocking it from coming to you, actually, in some sense. Okay. And you are just building this narrative inside saying, in this time also, you know what, I will save and it will go somewhere. That money will go somewhere only. I am not going to buy that car. So even you put the first seed that you put with the very first setback, immediately it just goes and stays within your own subconscious. It's very scientific, and it automatically brings you that scenario that you already visualized for your own self. Okay, so you just go and ask, do I have this conviction to get what I want in life? Really am I convinced about this? And what is the motivation? Okay, that car will make me happy, or am I going wanting that car and the house so that I look like this person in front of someone else? What is this whole motivation? Can I just ditch this whole goal for a while and then look at just how can I be happy in this current moment right now? Let all of that wait, but let me not take this personally and then take it as something that is affecting my self-worth. Okay, so look at your goals, look at the self-reflection which I told, look at your own limiting beliefs that's been affecting you, and look at the other wins in your life. The human mind always goes to failures. The human mind always goes to what you're missing in your life. The human mind always finds faults. It always looks at, I'm asking for this one thing, it's not coming. You didn't ask for 100 things, but beautiful, and all of that came to you. Okay, how did it even come to you? Can you feel gratitude for all of those things that are still in your life, which 90% of people in the world does not have? Okay, so if you take that attitude, what this car? You ask for a Maruti, BMW will come, I'm telling you. Okay. So do not take it or attach it to your self-worth. Coming to the most important, like we're closing it now. You see some colleague constantly feels disturbed. You walk past that workstation, performance not, as a leader for people like Sharanya ma'am, you feel that, oh, their performance is not up to the mark, but something is disturbing them. Okay. What is your usual response? Or someone in your house, guys. Someone in your house, okay? Your own brother, sister, cousins, okay? Generally try to talk, okay? See if you can help. Check on them and ask, okay? Sit with them and listen. Beautiful. Okay, okay. Try to counsel them, okay? Talk to them, ask them what's the matter. Okay, keep going. I'll tell you one important thing here. This is where again your self-awareness comes in. If you really see, I'm going to tell you some hard, brutal facts. Yeah, we are all giving answers here, but personally, one incident affected me immensely. It's still staying in my heart. So there was this friend, not friend, there was this colleague that I used to, like, I see in the lift every single day. And I've always, of course, not in my department, train and then the lift, which means every day, twice, thrice, I used to bump into her. I've in fact shared this in one of my vlogs also. And this person was always looked very introverted, but my heart was telling something is wrong, but I never had the guts to jump into someone else's life. I don't even know this person, whatever. And then one day, this was going on for like 1 year, 2 years. I don't even remember exactly, but one day I just went to office and all I heard was she committed suicide. Okay, all I heard was she committed suicide. And then people told, no, she'd been suffering from mental health issues for so long. She was taking antidepressants. She was doing this counseling, blah, blah, blah. But then she succumbed herself to taking her life off. Okay, this is like the worst situation. Now, of course, as an empath, I am like, Riz, you saw this woman multiple times in train and lift. Why didn't you even like take time to go and sit with her or ask her if you can be of help or whatever. But it's not easy to start this whole journey. But initially, what I realized is that I overlooked this whole fact. I am like every other person that, we are on our mobiles or we are just so much tied up with our to-do list that we don't even bother or care about what's going on the on for someone else. Like we're so self-consumed and self-centered of late that we are not even lifting our heads off from the screens of our digital devices. Okay, I'm telling to all of you guys, especially when we commute, when we just go out. In many developed countries, we see even on roads, like we just constantly, where traffic is well organized, where they know they're not going to get hit. You just see them constantly thumbing and then doing stuff, you know, just distracting themselves on social media, whatever it is. Generally, we are all very distracted beings right now, and it's becoming more and more sort of like a pandemic. Now, if you are disturbed inside, you're not going to be picking up someone else's disturbance. But I'm telling you this, okay? Unless you are attuned to your own emotions, whether you're really at peace, you're happy, everything is going well in your life. No, That's not the point here. None of us have gotten everything well, everything organized and sorted out in our lives. All of us are evolving consciousness. Okay, we are all work in progress. But now, when you look at someone and then you feel them that they are disturbed, it's important that you pay attention. Okay, and empathy is the starting point, but it's not the ending. It's not the end. But here, the skill I'm trying to just tell you is to actually be curious, and then to sit with them, which you all said, to just first go to them and say, some people will be very defensive, very guarded, and they're like, no, no, everything is fine. You please go. I'm okay. I'm all right. They'll say. Some people wouldn't even allow you inside their in their circle. But if you feel like, okay, you have a role to play, you have to be very curious first and just observe. Again, you first know what's going on within you. You observe. And then you'll really know, okay, what's going on. You don't have to know their personal story. You don't have to like intrude into their private lives. No, that's not the point here. The point is, okay, what is now disturbing you? What's affecting your productivity? How can I help you? Can I help you actually? And if they are defensive, all you need to say is, I'm here. Anytime you want 2 years, it's there. Come over and I'm here to listen to you. That's important. Okay, that's important to offer. Then, of course, in Western countries, we have all of these counseling centers and universities and workplaces and everything. But if you feel something is really alarming, then please, please, please take help from your seniors as what we can do to help that person. If you really know, like, okay, something is upfront, like wrong. And there are three Ds which usually puts people under immense stress. Okay, death, diagnosis, which is some serious diagnosis or illness, and divorce. Okay, so death, diagnosis, and divorce. So if you really understand the situation, then you will know, okay, what's going on. And everybody goes through the Kubler-Ross model: anger, denial, depression, and then they come to self-acceptance. But all they need is ears to listen. So the point I'm making here is, only be ears to listen. Don't give them solutions. Don't give them solutions. Just offer just ears to listen. People want you to sit and listen and say, yes, I understand. That's all. Don't jump into offering solutions, because the way you offer solutions, the way that solution works for the other person, it's all a skill that you will learn if you become a certified coach. But right now, offer ears to listen. Okay. Now, these are all some of the responses that we got. Okay. For these questions we asked. So we asked, okay, now the same thing that I showed you before, okay, handling personal criticism. Look at it. Most people said, you'll thank you for the feedback. Then you ask for specific examples. And some of you said, I'll feel hurt and I'll make a mental note. But there is, you can't stay feel hurt. So you can't stay feel hurt, okay? Again, that's not going to improve your productivity. It's not going to make you a leader. Every situation, jump into the suit of a leader. That's why you are here today, to understand how you being emotionally attuned to your emotions help you become a better leader, and so that you can add value to people's lives. You can bring in a lot of gentleness, love, and compassion to someone else. You don't even know the role that many of us play, the trivial things that we do. Some of the mentors that I had in my life, the way they just, as I told, they sat and listened to my problem while I was crying. The way when nobody noticed, that person that came in and said, something is wrong with you. What's going on? I have a lot of gratitude for those people. I mean, I am not joking, because as much as you see all of the joy, it didn't come like overnight. So all of us go through these uphills and downhills. And even right now, we all know at every point in our lives, you go up the ladder on your professional life. Okay, you shift countries and you change jobs, you go to study, you leave your parents, you leave your loved ones. Okay, and then you are like, you're separated from people that you love the most, and you're alone handling so many things in your life. All of us go through these void in our lives where we long for connections. The only thing that helps us ground is first we attuning to our own emotions, and we being of service to others. This is not about sitting in that self-pity mode saying, oh, my life only is not going right. Okay, so be of service. You can handle personal criticism very well if you just know that the feedback did not come from the perspective of someone wanting to hurt you. It actually probably came from a very genuine perspective of wanting you to improve in life. That's why that person gave the feedback, but probably they didn't know how to sandwich the feedback. They were very brutal. They came and just spit it on your face and they went. So don't look at the content, look at the context. Okay. The last thing now, you want to make a choice. You want to, for Sharanya ma'am, you want to buy equipment. People tell you 5 different brands and you want to buy something and nobody is coming to a consensus, or you want to expand on a particular specialty, whatever it is, for people like you at leadership level. The rest of you, you know what, you want to make a life choice. Everybody is giving opinions and nobody is coming to a consensus, but something that matters to you the most. This is not about what food should we order on Swiggy now. That's not the point here, okay? What is the usual response? Usual response. When nobody is listening to you, everybody gives their opinion. Nobody agrees with you. Everybody gives different. Look at that leader. Go with your choice. First choice. Try to convince them with all the positives. Try to convince them with facts. In case of food, my choice. Clothes, another person's choice. I love all of these answers here. Pros, cons list, listen to the group, make my mind based on pros, cons, pick up using a chit. Oh God, like I like the answer though, but I'll not pick up who I want to spin the wheel, let the universe decide. Oh my God. Okay, now I know how we choose girlfriends and boyfriends. I know my interests and capabilities, maybe you would choose the best. Okay, keep going, guys. Okay. So when you have different opinions, especially on matters of importance, we're talking about matters of importance, which is going to be like influential in your life. Okay. Yes, of course, as I told, someone said there, pros and cons. Again, this is not my way, highway. Whatever I say is the right. The rest of you are like, useless in giving feedback, not like that. Open communication is very important, especially at workplace. You need to know everybody has something to offer. And it's important to actually take different opinions and then put it together and look at the value in each and then use facts to come to a decision. And that again requires a lot of emotional intelligence, because if you start taking everything personally, saying, I am the person here that wants to make this choice, but just because you're not listening to me, you're not respecting me. It's not about that again. This is about building trust within teams. And in my team, which the beautiful team that I built back home, um, I've actually given away my choice for some of my team members' choices because they had better logic. They looked at things much better than me. They had much more creative insights about that what they were suggesting with respect to some of really tough, complex situations. Okay. So it's important, first of all, to be very open in your communication. And this is where social skills come in. So coming over to this place where, let me just check if, okay, so I do have my, so when we asked what do you really do to attune yourself and bring all of these emotional intelligence aspects into your life, this is the answers that we got, where people said, I'll do self-reflection, then I'll ask feedback from a colleague, and a small percentage of people said we'll practice mindfulness or meditation. Okay. So here I would like to now talk about some techniques, but before that, I'm going to introduce you to a technique. Okay. Someone said actually in the chat box, study your patterns. The ultimate wisdom it comes from knowing our whys, why we feel it, why we do it, why we repeat certain things. And to be able to do that, to understand who we are, it's first important for us to stay attuned to our own self. Okay. So this is where I am bringing in Mr. Govindas, a life designer and a breathwork master and a meditation teacher who's joined for our session today. Of course, Govind has a lot of accolades and he's a man of few words and he doesn't like long introductions. So I'm respecting and honoring that space. You can definitely go follow his work, seek his help with respect to learning techniques. But this is something that I'm telling you, if I use the word life changing, then it is very less. A research paper, very recent research paper, that talks about humming as a stress buster. Now, all of us are here to become emotionally intelligent and then become super duper leaders. But this is not just some woo-woo stuff or spiritual stuff. This is backed with hardcore science and scientific facts, which helps us not just become better on the physical parameters, but also manage our emotional and mental landscape like at our best. And this is where leadership comes in, where when you're thrown into life with all of those, you have to be at the edge, handling conflicts and situations. The more you are attuned by learning these techniques, the more efficient you will be as a leader. Okay, so now I'm going to, I think, give it off to Govind by stopping my share so that Govind comes on screen, and then we can take it from there.
Thank you, Dr. Riz. Good evening, everyone. It's always a challenge to come for a guest appearance at the climax of the movie. I'm sure you had a very interesting session and very engaging session with Dr. Rizwana. So she had requested that I speak about meditation. I know when we hear the term that many of us have different connotations about that term. Like some people have tried it, some people think it's woo-woo, some people think, yeah, maybe it works for others, but it doesn't work for me. And it has. But I want to, just share one lesson and one incident. Because it's pretty interesting to know the science behind why we do what we do. So from when it comes to the lesson, this was something that was shared to me almost 20 years ago in one of those very private retreats with an enlightened master, where we had to pay lakhs to go and attend it. And I know from my experience that this particular lesson is not available in the public domain. So it's very, very unlikely, highly unlikely that you've heard of it before. So when you take a human being is consists of 5 personalities. So you have the physical personality, which is the body, the physical body. You have the mental personality, which is the mind. You have the intellectual personality, which is your discriminating faculty. So how do you decide? Do I want to choose this or choose that? Then we have the emotional personality, which is your emotions. And then finally, we have the spiritual personality, where it's the spirit within us. And we know that, when we generally look at death, a human being is alive throughout a certain period of time. And finally, when the spirit decides to exit, the being is not alive anymore. So these 5 personalities is what consists of a human being. Now, when you are in your mother's womb, you have the spiritual personality and the physical personality infused together. So as the fetus is primarily infusion with the spiritual personalities. For easy sake, let's call it God. So the human being in the fetus state is in merging with God. Now, the highest state of bliss that's possible for a human is to be in that divine source of energy. Now, at the time of birth, when the baby has to come out from the mother's womb and get delivered into the world, it needs to operate as a standalone entity. It's no more dependent on the mother. So at that point in time, the 3 other personalities, the 3 intermediate personalities, which is the mind, the intellect, and the emotional personality, needs to come into play. And when this comes into play, the unison is broken between God and the physical body. And this unison is highly traumatic to the soul, to the baby. But it's necessary for the baby to function. So the baby starts crying. And as the baby grows, each time the baby is crying, they bring a toy, they distract the baby for a while. and the baby stops crying. It's fascinated, and it's, looking at the toy. It's smiling, it's laughing, and then after a while it gets bored. It leaves the toy, and then the crying starts again. And then it's given a bicycle. Then it stops crying for a while. Then it grows. It gets a bike. It's happy for a while. It starts crying again. Grows, gets a Mercedes Benz as an adult. Happy for a while, enjoying everything. It's got two houses, three cars. The child is, or the adult right now, is still crying. Now we are basically having these desires, and this inner crying that the adult is having, or the inner child in the adult is having, is primarily for union with source energy again, union with God again. And while you're alive, if you have to make that happen, now you can't die to merge with source energy again. When you're alive, if you want to make it happen, then these three intermediate personalities need to be dropped. And the only way to drop it is basically to get into meditation. Because in meditation, these three personalities drop, and you merge with source. Yes, you can sit immediately cross-legged, and then your mind goes into overdrive, and then you say, okay, this doesn't work for me, and you give up. No, it's something that you need to put an effort. For example, if you have to become a doctor of optometry, you had to go through kindergarten classes, you had to go through 12 years of school, then another 5 years of medical college, and then internship, and then is when you're qualified to become a doctor of optometry. I don't know why people think that they can just close their eyes and sit and immediately experience nirvana and enlightenment. So this also requires effort. So and it's worth it, because all the crying that we have, all the desires that we have, is nothing but trying to merge with source again. And we mistake it that, okay, maybe once I get that car, I'll be happy. Maybe once I get that guy, I'll be happy. Once I marry this girl, I'll be happy. But in reality, you are actually trying to chase, or you're actually chasing union with source again. That's the only thing that will give you ultimate bliss. So this is the lesson that was shared. So remember it. I'm not saying you don't chase your desires. In fact, the whole human life is fueled by desires. Everything that we see today that is making our life comfortable is a product of desire. So, what you do is you chase your desires, but you also meditate, so that your internal uh, landscape is already fulfilled, and you chase this desire as a game. Like, so if you don't get that, you're not going to get depressed. So that's the lesson that I wanted to share. The other thing that I wanted to share is the incident. So somewhere around the 70s, 1970s, there's this group called Transcendental Meditation, run by late Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and they decided to do an experiment in the United States. So it was a mass experiment, and I think the city was Washington D.C. If I'm not wrong. And Washington D.C. around the time of winter, the crime rate used to go up to almost 25%. So Maharishi Mahesh Yogi said, I'm going to do a mass experiment where me and my followers, the meditators, they would come and they would descend into the city, and we'll meditate for weeks together. And then we will try and bring the crime rate of the city down to less than 5%. Now, when the police chief of that city heard this, he laughed mockingly, saying that, it'll rain 2 feet of snow in Washington, D.C., but the crime rate will never go less than 20%. So that year, he had about 9,000 transcendental meditators, followers, come and meditate for a month in that city. And that year the crime rate was around 2%. So that's the influence of meditation and influence of meditation on overall consciousness. So you can actually now influence consciousness to attract what you want in your life very easily. Now there is a ordinary way of going about things, which is you have a goal, you work hard, you struggle, you work like a donkey. That's one way of doing it. The smart people who know these methods, they then try to raise their energy levels, stay aligned to life, meditate, you know use the meditation techniques to increase their unlock energy from their psychic centers, the chakras, and have everything happen to them effortlessly. You don't have to struggle. Things come in search of you, whatever it is. If even materialistic things, you want a bike, you want that person, you want that job, everything happens effortlessly. I'm not talking theory. I have personally experimented with these for the last 20 years, and I used to be in the corporate world before, in sales, cybersecurity, and as part of that, as being part of sales, we have targets. As I said, you can go about working the hard way like a donkey, or you can be aligned and have everything happens to you. So I've chosen the latter method, where I used to easily and effortlessly attract things into my life. So you should be able to use these techniques. So I can share the technique with you. It's very easy. In fact, you could start with something like just 10 minutes of practice a day, and then you in about, let's say, 20-30 days, you will start seeing your environment change. You will start, when you observe your life, you will start seeing positive changes, and that will give you encouragement that this method is working. And when you see that it's working, and it's also helping you stay calm, it's also helping you stay peaceful, and it's largely bringing all the positive things into your life, then this 10 minutes will start getting extended into 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour. Some of us right now, we go into meditation and we lose ourselves for almost an hour plus. So there are 3 different mantra chantings. In fact, it's one of the easiest ways to meditate. In the current generation, everyone's so overwhelmed that you ask someone to just close their eyes and just go off into silence. 10 things pop up. Oh, I have that EMI to pay tomorrow. I need to complete this project tomorrow. And then within like 3 minutes, you give up, saying this is not for me. So you need to give your mind a certain activity, and one of the best things is to do is sound healing, which is mantras. So there are different kind of mantras. Yeah, I'm sure each religious landscape has offered, from their own path, various mantras. But as Dr. is showed a snapshot in the beginning, there's something known as humming. So one of the easiest thing is you take a deep inhalation. So you find a spot in a place that you won't be disturbed, at a time that you won't be disturbed, and at a time that you don't have anything else to run to. So for example, if you have to leave for college or for work at 8 o'clock, I wouldn't recommend sitting at 7 o'clock, because your mind will not be able to relax. Your mind will not be able to, it'll be constantly thinking, oh, I need to get ready, I need to do this, I need to do that. I would suggest, if you have to leave at 8 o'clock, you do it at something like 6 o'clock, before the household wakes up. And so you find a corner, you keep your back straight. And some of you who have a difficulty in crossing your legs and sitting, I would suggest you keep a cushion under your bottom. And the idea is to forget your body for those 10 minutes. In those 10 minutes, you shouldn't be able, your body shouldn't ache, you shouldn't be getting all those goosebumps, the tingling sensation. So if you think you can't even sit cross-legged, I would suggest you sit on a chair, close your eyes, keep your hands like this, or you can keep it like this. Ideally, I prefer this. And then you close your eyes, you take some inhalations. Initially, spend at least a minute focusing on your in breath and out breath, just the movement of your in breath and out breath. That will calm you down. And once that, you're in a Zen state, then you start the chant, which is this is one type of chant. This is the one that was shown as humming or Brahmari in yoga. There is even science and research. You can Google this, where humming like this has it's 12 times more efficient in improving your health. In terms of there is nitrous oxide being produced by your body. So it will help bring your hypertension down. So if you have high BP, in fact, if any of your relatives have high BP, just get them to practice this for about 10 minutes where you hum. You take an in-breath and on the exhalation, you hum. This is one method. The second method, which is slightly more powerful than the humming, is chanting Om. Now, it might be associated with a religion, but actually it's a lot of science. So if those of you who want to do it, it will have more benefits because the sound of Om goes and hammers. We have something known as psychic centers, also known as chakras. Many of you would have heard about it. So there are 7 major chakras. The issues that you have physiological are nothing but varying levels of blocks in the chakras. So if you've heard of energy healing practices like Reiki, pranic healing and everything, these people, send you energy, could be distance healing, and 10 minutes later or 15 minutes later, you find that your headache has gone away or your stomach, your stomach ache has gone away. Now, how does this happen? The energy comes. That's why when you look at some of the energy healers, they are able to even heal people from cancer and tumors and stuff like that. So the right way to chant Om is, again, take a deep inhalation. Om. So, guys, you keep chanting Om. And the third method is slightly more powerful, which is Aum, A-U-M. So the way you chant that is so the R sound hammers the lower chakras, then the O U sound hammers the heart chakra, and then the sound hammers the upper chakras. If you practice this regularly, as I said, you'll have a lot of health benefits and your success will happen very easily. Even doing this sound you won't get headaches and migraines and things like that. So these are three things. So you're supposed to chant for about 10 minutes. So if you want, you can keep a timer initially. And the idea is to forget yourself. Keep your hands like this or like that and keep chanting the way I just showed. It shouldn't feel like it's coming from the throat. It should be a loud sound like oh. So don't be shy. You're doing this to improve your mental health. You're doing this to improve your physical health. So do it properly, be loud to get the maximum benefits of it. So you keep chanting, you keep chanting, you keep chanting. And at some point, when you feel it's approximately 10 minutes, you just suddenly stop chanting and you just freeze. Don't move your body, be still, like dead still. And trust me, what happens is there's a lot of energy that's unlocked from your chakras. And because you're sitting cross-legged and your hands are like this, it creates something known as a bandha, which is a lock. So all the energy that's released from your chakra basically starts circulating in your body itself. And when you suddenly stop chanting and you are freezing and you're still, your body will become very blissful. You physically feel bliss. And for a microsecond or for a few seconds, your mind goes blank. And your mind going blank is the actual state of meditation. So that's what we are trying to achieve. So it's not something like a goal. So this is something that you do, like how you brush your teeth every day. You just, you just make time for it, and it's for your own benefit. Now we can right now, do the practice for about 11 counts, and when we finish the 11 counts, we'll all just remain silent for a while. And that's about it. That's about it from my side. So let's just do it for 11 counts. And then I would suggest from tomorrow, you guys start off with a practice by doing for at least 10 minutes. Yeah. Just close your eyes. And if you want, you can put your hands like this. Very, very gently. Please open your eyes.
Wow. Thank you, Govind. I mean, we were expecting that some participants were rushing off, but then everybody just stayed for the meditation and then like they were totally attuning themselves to this process. I think it's like you really brought in a lot of perspective to whatever we discussed. So I think it's time to close the session. You just please stay while I just wrap up the session. Guys, I mean, I think all of you must either be experiencing this whole vibration in your body, this blissful state. And I saw some of you on screen really in deeper meditative states where people around you will feel this influence. And because the topic is all about EI for leadership, I'll tell you one secret, which Govind also touched upon. Instead of me spending, like, let's say there's a tough task, I need to write an article or a book chapter, which will take me 2 hours. I meditate actually for 30 minutes and I finish the task in much, much lesser time than it usually takes. This is how you basically take all of these expanded states of consciousness to your leadership roles and also to growing up in the ladder in your profession. Okay. So I'm going to close with this final slide here, where now that you've learned these pillars of emotional intelligence, uh, where I think whatever uh, Govinda's brought in today adds a lot of value to the first pillar, which is the building block, which is to bring in self-awareness. Then the rest just falls in place. Self-awareness and self-regulation to a larger extent. Then you become great leaders with a lot of social awareness and you can just manage your relationships like in no time if you know who you are. So now that you've learned these components, you can create an action plan for yourself. Okay, 10 minutes of chanting, and then what are all those areas where I'm struggling on a constant basis, areas of emotional intelligence I'm struggling on a constant basis. Being blissful on a regular basis is not a tough task at all. Okay, you can be just a happy being all the time if only you know there's nothing that's worth making you sad. So set small achievable goals wherever you want to improve on these scales. We've discussed tangible methods. Look at what you want to practice on a regular basis. And now I'm open to take up questions. Over to you, Govind. I'm sorry, to Gopi.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rizwana and Mr. Govind, for taking us through the excellent session on understanding the self-awareness and how to overcome very like certain things which we face everyday basis. And I felt like watching multiple feel-good movies in this 1.5 hours of time. I don't have any specific questions as such, but if others wants to unmute and ask questions directly to the team, maybe you can ask. Otherwise, I can Saranya ma'am to throw some light.
I just had a quick question. So when we were actually
Your voice
doing,
is very
my
feeble.
palm started getting
Ma'am,
very,
voice is low, ma'am.
okay, can you
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
me now?
Govind, the
Yeah,
question is for you. Sharanya ma'am is asking you the question.
When we were doing this exercise now, my palm suddenly started getting very warm and sweaty. Is that something that you're sort of meant to experience, or is this just something that has no correlation whatsoever? And I'm just trying to,
No, it's all part of the process. You will have sweaty things. Your temperature could change. In some cases, it becomes cold. In some cases, it becomes warm. You'll have tingling sensation in your hands, sometimes in your face. So it's all part of the process.
okay. And does this help when you sit as a group and do it, or is it more specific?
I would say, as a practice, initially you do it individually, and even in Bible it says that when more than one gather, blessings descend. So when you do as a group, the whole thing is even more enhanced. There's a group vibration. You can actually feel it. If you guys are sitting in a room and doing this, you can actually feel the vibrations, especially when you chant you can feel it. And in fact, if you become a regular meditator, you actually benefit at least 100 people in your life, because you would actually be a calming and peaceful effect on those 100 people. Could be your family members, could be your colleagues, could be your friends, whoever it is. Yeah.
So this happens in sporadic bits when I start telling people here in college, walk up the stairs, do a little bit of exercise every day and things. So Gopi, maybe this is something that we should do even as a collective group. It's 10 minutes. I'm sure all of us can sit for 10 minutes and do that. And I can feel a small difference even in this 10 minutes or less than 2 minutes that we did it. So I'm sure it'll have a huge effect when, especially young students, young children who are entering college, doing things there, and they're all in a new environment. So thank you so much for this brilliant session, first of all, Riz, and Govind for that wonderful exercise at the end of it all. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This is something which resonates very, very deeply within me. So I'm absolutely happy to have been here. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Gopi?
yeah. So I would like to thank Dr. Rizwana and Mr. Govind for your wonderful time and sharing to our participants. If any, like we will be also posting it in our YouTube channel, and we will share it across once we do it, so that it reaches wider audience, not just the 70 of us who were the uh, Zoom meeting. Thank you again. Thank you, Dr. Svana, Mr. Govind. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And thanks, Gopi, for all the coordination. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Govind.